What's up, convoy? Welcome back to another video. I'm actually getting ready to head out on this wonderful Saturday night and probably make some bad decisions. But before I do that, I figured I'd make another video. And today I want to talk about something that I had actually screwed up a couple weeks back. And the thumbnail of this video, you probably saw some gears and stuff. That is actually the inside of a Eaton 10-speed transmission, a manual transmission. What had happened was, and that's not something I stole off the internet, that picture. That's a photo I took, and I got the inside of that transmission open because I screwed up. I was trying to save some time and efficiency, and I was replacing a clutch brake on this Eaton 10-speed. It was inside of a vac truck, one of those big, it's like a straight truck, but it's got a vacuum on it, one of those big hoses, and it's kind of funny because on the top of this vac truck, all it said was Guzzler. And there was plenty of jokes flying around the shop about this thing saying Guzzler. But anyways, I got this truck because it was diagnosed by another technician in the shop at the Kenworth dealer I work at. And he decided it needed a clutch brake, and it did. This thing was coming apart inside the trans, which is normally a super fast, super easy job. You just unbolt the trans, you slide it back a few inches, the trans off of the engine a few inches. You pull the old one out, you saw the new one in, you slam it back home, and bolt it all back together. Should have been no issue. But being that this was a vac truck, this had a PTO, or power takeoff, on this transmission, and being that I was trying to be efficient and fast about it, ended up really costing me a lot of time. Because I decided I didn't have to take this PTO hanging off the bottom of this trans, which made the trans jack that I had up underneath the trans, holding it, supporting it, not sit exactly correctly, but I thought I had it okay. I thought the weight distribution of that transmission onto this trans jack was good enough, especially because I threw a strap around it. It was a ratchet strap, and I had cinched it down pretty good. And I started removing the trans, and once I got the motor split, I was having a little trouble. Everything seemed level and good. I was up under there, and I was looking at everything, looking at all the angles, and the trans started coming apart from the engine, and I got my pry bar in there, and I was kind of working it back and forth a little bit, and it was splitting nice, but I noticed the input shaft of the trans was kind of hanging up on the bearing a little bit, which should have told me right then and there, I got an issue, something's wrong. But me just trying to be fast about it, because, I mean, if you're just doing the clutch brake, like I said, it's normally a very fast and easy job. And so I'm like, screw it. I got a strap on it. We're good to go. So what happened was I saw the bearing have a little stress on it, and from the input shaft of the transmission, and I got my pry bar in there. I pried on it, pried the transmission away from the engine, and as soon as that input shaft cleared that bearing, the strap busted, and this trans fell off of the jack underneath the truck. Thank goodness I was nowhere near the thing. I mean, it probably hit about a foot from where I was laying, but thankfully it didn't hurt me in any way. The thing could have killed me easily. I don't know what the thing weighs. 1,000+ pounds maybe, the transmission. But I remember once it cleared the bearing, the input shaft of the trans cleared the bearing, I kind of watched it. It was like all in slow motion to me. And I remember it fell, and it just thud. There was no bounce, there was no rocking around. The thing fell straight, tipped over off of the trans jack, right onto the cement, made a loud thud, and didn't move from there. And I'm laying underneath this thing about a foot away, thinking, is this real life? Did that just really happen? So now, once I get out from underneath the truck and realize, yeah, that really did just happen. Now I have to assess the situation and try to figure out, how the hell am I going to get this trans sitting on the bell housing and the input shaft out from underneath this truck, and stabilized again. And now I know, okay, well, it landed directly. It first hit on the input shaft of the transmission. So I know there was some kind of damage. I didn't know the extent, but being it fell right onto the input shaft, I'm thinking I cracked the housing, I destroyed this transmission. So what I do is we have wheel lifts. We don't have pits or anything at the dealership I work at. So I get the wheel lifts, which they were already there because I had the truck up a tiny bit. I had to jack this truck up sky high in the air. The front end of this truck's almost touching the ceiling. And then I get under there. I hang from the front suspension, and I had gotten a pallet. I was like, okay, I got to kick this trans over to get it back horizontal. So I had a pallet with a few mud flaps on it. So I'm swinging from the front suspension of this truck that's jacked up sky high in the air. I kick the top of the trans, and it falls on this pallet, causing no more damage, which is great. And then I hang off of the driver's side step once it's on the pallet, and I start kicking the pallet, and I just inch it out from under the truck. And then once it's out far enough from the truck, I grab the cherry picker, I pick it up, set it on a stand, and I have to take it apart. And once I got it apart to where I thought I could assess the damage that had happened, that's the thumbnail of this video. That's where I took the picture. Thank goodness I got so very lucky because only the input bearing got destroyed. And I mean, that thing blew out. There was pieces of it. I went through that trans, pulled out all the pieces, replaced the bearing, put the trans back together, got it into the truck again, and which I had taken the PTO off. So I got the trans fixed and back up, pulled the PTO off, back onto the engine stand properly, and then back into the truck. So that was just my little lesson there. Even though we have to be fast and efficient at this dealership, you still have to do things the proper way. I thought I was good. I didn't know. That was just an important lesson. You know, I didn't destroy the trans. Like, my biggest fear was that I cracked the housing, that input shaft going all the way out, somewhere in that housing would have been damaged. Thankfully, there was not. And like I said, all it was just the input bearing. I cleaned out the debris and stuff from that blown out bearing, and got it back together, back into the truck. I had done a few more things to this truck. I forget exactly everything. I remember I did an injector on it, a PM, some stuff with the DEF tank, and that clutch brake. So that was a pretty important lesson for me to learn, being that I'm only 3 years into fixing trucks, and now at the dealer level, even though we have to be fast and efficient and do things in a timely manner, still means even if you lose sometimes on what was quoted, because like I said, I wasn't the initial tech that wrote this truck up and the estimate and diagnosed it and everything. I didn't have that much time to get this bearing done, because not the bearing, the clutch brake done. Because like I said, normally, you know, especially a truck that comes in that doesn't have a PTO, you get the trans jack underneath the trans, you split the trans from the engine, you slide the thing on and off the clutch brake, and you're done pretty quick. It's not a huge deal. But this turned into a bigger deal because I was trying to save some time. We're talking 8 bolts and a couple of gaskets. And that really taught me a lesson. I know now not to do that ever again. Never try to get a trans out of a truck with the PTO hanging off of it. So that was just an important lesson for me, and it's an important experience that I could share with you guys. Where if you think you can find a shortcut, which a lot of times you can, but just be 1,000% sure that shortcut is going to work out in the long run. Because sometimes you try to cut corners and it turns out really screwing you over, and it takes you a hell of a lot longer to get the job done than it should have. So that was it. I'm going to head out now. I'm meeting up with a few people, and I'm going to have a good night tonight. I hope you guys have a great weekend. I might make a video tomorrow. I might not. But within the next few days, I'll definitely put out another video, if not tomorrow. So hope you guys enjoy yourselves and enjoyed the video. And have a good weekend. And as always, run hard and get paid.